No, me this
Okay.
week.
Let me know when you're ready.
Can you share screen?
Oh shit. Good looks.
Also, guys, because I know you all can hear us, get in the green room now while you can.
While you can. Yep. All right,
I'm sorry. Also, really quickly, I think there was one really, really good question for the show.
Shoot it to me.
Yeah. It's in relation to the Massimo's discussion as well, so it'll be good.
Okay. He's in the call.
Oh, well then.
Yeah. So we'll say
that
we'll say
works too.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna hit play.
Yep.
32 seconds.
Easy.
$20. 15. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5.
7 star citizens, and welcome to Answer the Call, your weekly.
Hold on.
Oh God, Mike.
Hold on. Hold on. There he is.
Gray with a bunch of text. Hello, everyone. It is Answer the Call time. Your weekly, but you've thrown me off now. Your weekly podcast and call-in show where we talk all things Star Citizen, and we are towards the end of IAE. So obviously lots of ship sales going on, lots of news this week, sort of, with their IAE shows and some stuff they've talked about in there. But more importantly, it's my weekly time where I get to look at Mike's face. How you doing, Mike?
I don't have a mustache, so that's a good thing. I'm finally done with the mustache. My wife is happy, and everyone in the chat is sad. I'm doing good. It was American Thanksgiving this week, so I had family in town the entire week, so I was a little less involved with Star Citizen than I would normally be. So I'm like scrambling. I was scrambling all night last night, as you could tell. Not prepared for the start of the show today, and scrambling for footage for week in review and all that kind of stuff. So looking forward to getting back to normal and just like playing the game and stuff like that. I've been playing a little bit of Eve, and then also that Eve playing is giving me the itch to jump back in and do the more org stuff and all that. So I'm actually excited to play the game, although 4.0 is quite rough at the moment, I would say.
Yeah, I got the itch to like I've been doing phase 3 and phase 4 all this week for thingy, and that got me the itch to like play 4.0 again. And I was so excited. I get into 4.0 and I've got like 60 FPS. I'm like experiencing no server errors or anything, and then just everything's broken. Elevators aren't working, jump points aren't working, blah blah blah. Like it's all just the bugs are back.
Yep.
And so I was like, oh well, that's disappointing, but
yeah, I'm getting the opposite now. It's like we're getting like insanely low frame rates and things like that. But I just did contested zones, and it was super desynced, and they said that it would be. There's some bug going on with it, but the I had 3 PvP encounters and we killed everybody, so that was kind of cool. And then we went to the end of one of the zones, and there was no loot. Like it was like players had looted it, but it was just not there. Like it was weird.
Not respawning or
not respawning. So for like you've seen maybe that there's like a little gun containers that are like open and they have multiple levels, and the bottom level has a gun and then the top level has the ammo. It just had the ammo, no gun in every single container. It was kind of interesting. So it was like somebody went through and completely cleared the place out, but then they never respawned, or like people had gradually been clearing it out and they never respawned. So don't know, but
interesting.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's like a
4.0 is taking steps forward and back as patch is going, which is somewhat normal, but not fun to see.
And we're still technically in wave 1. It's the biggest wave 1 of all, but like we are still technically wave 1. So
We also had
right.
IAE all week.
Yeah. Yes.
So
Including the show that literally started like a second after we finished the podcast last
you want to
week.
start with that?
Yeah, we might as
Okay.
well, right? So, after the pod last week, we had the IE show pop up, and probably the two biggest things in it was one, they showed a ton of the Mirai Guardian. It is Mike. This might be the first combat ship I ever pledged for. Melting for. Of
I get a
course. I will
DMCA for
not the
reacting
money,
to
but...
this, by the way. This is what
Oh, really?
DMCA'd me this song. Yeah. Every one of
Interesting.
their IAEs I've gotten copyright notices for.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's pretty cool. Looks exactly like what we expected it to be, a heavy fighter. Seems to have 2 size 5s, couple of missiles. It looks cool. It is a solo heavy fighter, from what we can tell as well.
Yeah.
Which the only other solo heavy fighter would be the F8. So this is, it's going to be an interesting one. This one, they also essentially confirmed 4.0 during this, right there, coming soon to Spectrum Channel 4.0.
Why do you
get
want
to see
this?
more of that, obviously. Well, I like Mirai already, right?
Okay.
So aesthetically, I love the ship because it is just a fat fury. So I'm super into that. As well as it looks like it'll be a bit glass cannony. Obviously, we have like none of the stats really yet, but it sort of feels like it'll be that way. And I'm a sucker for a glass cannon. Something that does a ton of damage, but if anyone even remotely good at the game fights me, I'm screwed. I'm down.
Okay.
Yeah.
I look at it as they were taught. I guess, was it in this episode? I can't remember what the discussion was in episode 2 now for some reason.
Capital ship gameplay.
Yep. Okay, so it was this one where they were kind of talking about how you have to take down the defenses essentially of the capital ship before you can actually damage it.
Yep.
Maybe long range cannons, heavy fire from these kind of things that can take a bit of. So like you want glass cannon, but I feel like they're ships that are meant to take out larger ships, which I feel like heavies might be taking out bombers, things like that. I don't know if this is like Polaris. It's certainly not solo, but like taking out turrets and things with these things, which means you have to be able to take some shots from them. So I feel like maybe it'll be glass cannon for the heavy class, but it's still got to have some shields and some armor, you would think. Maybe it'll be really good with shields, really bad with armor, or vice versa, something like that.
Yep.
But I have no idea. I do think it looks cool as well, but like you, I don't get excited for the combat stuff as much usually. But you seem to be hyped about this one.
Yeah, something about this is just speaking to me, and like I said, I think it's purely just because it's a big Fury, and I'm a huge fan of the Fury. So
fair.
I might end up melting some stuff and grabbing that once it goes to 4.0. But yeah, it's dope.
Okay, and then I guess we can get more into the capital ship speak stuff that they had. How did you feel about all this? I will say that, like in the like before we started the podcast today, I'd said to Croncy that I really have. I think for if you're a player, like the whole point of these discussions is for them to sit down and provide their vision and give you information. And I think this has been the worst way that they have put something like this together so far. SCLs allow us to ask the questions and them to come back and forth. And ISC is highly edited where they think about the way that we would react to the discussion and that they edit it in a certain way so it is informational. Jared asked more questions. Oh, maybe we should. It gives them more time, where this felt like a live interview that was like a little bit edited, like they were just switching cameras for the most part. And I think they bounced around a lot, and it was difficult to get the point they were trying to make in all of the ones that we're going to discuss today. Like when I tried to break these down for weekend review, I had to go from this part of the video to this part of the video and pull that over and to actually create a cohesive argument about things.
Yeah.
So
I think the biggest thing is it's like you're expecting ISC levels of like depth or SCL levels of sort of like freedom of like communication. Like they're just sort of free to just say whatever they want. Like it's not as prepared in SCL, but
No, I just
you're
want
getting that in like
ISC.
a sure. But even within
Yeah.
that, you're getting like a what would be a 17-minute ISC in 6 minutes. So
Yeah.
it's like obviously, yeah, you can't go into super big detail about some of these things, and these would be topics I would well maybe with the exception of the capital ship gameplay until it's further along, these still would be topics I would expect a full ISC on.
Absolutely. Yeah, as they're
Yeah,
coming in, right? It's like
yeah,
this is
yeah.
just our high level vision, but like I feel like I come out of these asking so many questions. Like so we talked about it just briefly was that their idea behind capital ship gameplay is that you need the capital ship, but then you need these other ships that are going to help you fight the other capital ship to take down their
Mhm.
defenses, right? And that is taking
Yeah,
out
you've got
turrets.
multiple, not even necessary. Like they do mention that as their example, but
Yeah,
even to a more
there's
sort
layers,
of
right?
yes, there are layers that you have goals along your way through the capital ship fights.
Yeah, like we got to take out the turrets, we got to take out the PDCs.
Yeah,
All right, now our Polaris can shoot the torpedoes, things like that.
yeah.
What I found really interesting was that they said you would have fighters that take out
Hmm.
the turrets, and I was like,
Hmm.
that makes no sense to me. I'm curious what other people think and what you might think. Is it depends on what fighter. I think maybe it was the example that they gave. I don't know, but the turrets are anti-fighter things. So
Yeah,
what is anti-turret, right? Because if
sure.
the
I get
turret
you.
is
Yeah.
rock, what is the turret's paper? He's saying a fighter is the turret's paper. I'm going, I have no idea now because turrets should be the anti-fighter thing, right? So I was a little confused
I think
by
specifically
that
the
part of the
the example
discussion.
they use is that you'll use fighters for specifically the PDCs, not necessarily the turrets, so that you can get your torps in. I think, yeah, someone in chat made a good point. Realistically, a gunship is probably going to be the thing
Yeah.
to take out
Maybe
turrets.
things like a Mirai Guardian heavy type fighters that can take a
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. As well as like, and then like I will say the description of like what they envision as a capital ship fight in their head is kind of what I want. It did sound like they were like, you know, we want to have role counterplay within this like massive fight.
Sure. Sounds
Um,
great, right? Who would complain about that?
yeah, exactly. Um,
But with what they've
I
made
think yeah, just
already,
maybe
it's hard to be like I understand. Like it's hard for me to take their vision and visualize it.
mhm.
That's where I'm at right now. I'm not saying that it's
Okay,
bad or
yeah,
anything like that. It's just
yeah, yeah.
how how does this work with what we know right now? And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, you know?
Well, I was gonna say, well, we got to experience it, Mike. The phase 3 missions, if you bring a Polaris versus an Idris, it's a capital fight. Just ignore the fact that at the moment, the best way to take down the Idrises in phase 3 is to put a Polaris right nose into the cockpit and then shoot the torpedoes directly in front of it.
Yep.
So like that is a thing that's like I do like their vision. This seems like such a bitch to balance in just every conceivable way to make
Oh,
it enjoyable in that way without there being too many exploits.
wait till we get
Uh,
to the next IAE show.
yeah.
It gets even worse. So, yeah,
So yeah,
it's
I still I like that they've got a vision for capital ship combat because we need to have that now because we
yes.
have the Polaris that is practically a capital ship. Um, and yeah.
And once again, I have to remind everybody and myself that the idea of these shows is to say, this is what we are going to do. And then
Hmm.
we are to watch them do it. So,
Yeah.
like, we see the PDCs. I don't know about you, but I haven't gotten PDCs to work very well in any time that I've tried to use them. They do shoot missiles, but they don't shoot
I have had some
ships.
amazing ones.
So, yeah, I've
Oh
heard
yeah,
like,
I've
oh yeah, I think Artesius was telling me
yeah
that you had a good experience in the 890 jump or
yeah
something like that. I just tried
yeah
to pull out the Polaris today, but again, the servers were so bad that I wasn't
yeah
able to see the hostility changes or anything like that. So I'll wait and
yeah.
see. But I hear people have been having good times, so
Hmm.
I'll take a step back there and not not just go, well, my experience was this, therefore
Yeah,
bad, right?
yeah.
But
I will say just
yeah,
on that, the one really good experience I had with PDCs this week, because yeah, for the most part they don't work great, but they'll usually shoot missiles, like even on like not the best servers.
yeah,
The PDCs just soloed some what are they called? The MISC fighters. The Ryan. It's soloed like 2 Reliants that were flying around the Polaris, just the
hell yeah,
PDCs.
nice.
So yeah,
Yeah, that's
sometimes
cool.
they work.
Yep. And when they do, I'm sure it'll be good. Just like with Star Citizen, anytime it works, it's usually pretty fun. But the
Yeah.
I think people are still struggling to get the. I see it now. It's the Idris here, so for save Stanton and
Yep.
things like that. But I think that's kind of we're getting a very tier 0 version of what they want for capital gameplay for right now, and I think we'll see it grow as we go on. I do want to point out as well that the whole thing that they're really wanting us to use is the right click, so it would be precision mode or something like that.
Yeah. Precision targeting mode.
Yeah, precision targeting to be able to shoot these turrets and stuff. So we'll see what happens. I like using precision targeting mode personally. I think it's actually really fun, especially when in turrets.
Yeah, agreed.
And now I think in the most recent patch you could see the PDCs in precision mode, but yeah. So we'll have to see. What else was in the show? They did the
everything else was
like
sketches,
history, yeah, all sketches.
Yeah,
they have. I said this in the last one, not this one, but the one that we'll talk about soon.
So good.
Yeah, this is funny. This is funny. These guys, I like these guys.
Yeah.
But I
the
said
Law of Earth, Lawmaker's Guide to Galaxy Earth.
Jared's been given way too much power. Way too much power.
Our subscription fees have gone too far.
I've gone way not to where they should be, but that's okay. I think it's funny. It's obviously just a joke, but
so obviously normally around now we'd be getting like our Jax videos, that's sort of the content you get around IAE. They've been doing these instead, and I think I've converted. I love these a lot more because it's a lot more of the it's like a time for the devs to be silly and fun, and there's still relevant information, though, like you said, not necessarily as concise or as helpful sometimes.
Yeah.
So I am fully converted, but now they need to do this every single year, and if they don't, I will stop playing Star Citizen. You have upped my expectations for IAE too far now.
Okay, I just think Jared is such an important piece of the puzzle for Star Citizen, and I don't think anybody could do the shows the way he does. And if we lost Jared, that would be like, you know how like people like freak out when employees leave? I think the only one that would matter, that honestly would matter, is Jared. So if they need to let him, and like CR, right? And so if they need to let him have his fun every once in a while, even though I'm not into this stuff. I literally just want information all the time. Go have your fun. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. Enjoy yourself. I don't you want people like him to come to work every day and enjoy their job and not hate it?
Yeah.
And people like me literally make people like him hate their job. So I'm not going to tell him not to enjoy himself.
Yeah, so. No, he's a huge part of community building for this game.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think these videos are doing a really good job of that. Yeah.
Yep. You want to go to just jump right into episode 3?
Let's do it. So the first episode of this week, a reminder, there is another episode right after
today.
The podcast today.
Yeah. So we'll touch on that next week.
Yeah. The big conversation was in relation to it was master modes, but it was mostly quantum boosting.
I think it was a lot of master modes.
Not really. I rewatched it before, like sort of, because quantum boosting is a master mode now, right?
Yeah.
But I watched it a little bit beforehand, and yeah, most of it they're talking about quantum boosting because it's a mechanic that we haven't seen since last year, and still isn't in the game yet. I imagine the way they're talking about it, this is probably looking to be like a 4.1, 4.2 type feature now, though.
Definitely not 4.0, yeah.
Yeah, no, certainly not 4.0. But then, yeah, obviously they talked a little bit about actual master modes, sort of how it is now, and what will change. Um, the biggest things, nav mode doesn't really exist anymore. It's now is the boost mode, like it is quantum boost now.
They're not
So you've
master modes anymore.
yeah, which
That-
yeah, they're calling them operator modes, which they kind of already were, arguably. The operator modes just were SCM mode travel and
Yeah.
nav mode travel, right?
Yeah.
But they're clumping them together, which sure, that's fine. But then yeah, nav mode no longer exists. So what
Yeah,
does that
you're
mean?
I think it's pretty simple. It's and they I think they explain it right towards the end. Is they're looking for a default. That's what they said. We want a default.
Yep.
Default is SCM speeds. That's it. I don't know exactly what we're going to get in terms of going back to getting to higher speeds, things like that. We'll talk about that in just a second. But the idea here is the main mode that players play in when they're playing the game is SCM. Everything when you're in SCM mode is you playing the game outside of doing fast travel.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they want. And
Yeah.
the fast travel is your choice. You have two choices. Your quantum boosting, which is what we know of so far is, a short distance, somewhat short distance, that you are sort of in control of, maybe more in control than we.
Yeah, it sounds like it might be very
in control.
Like,
so we'll see. We'll see. We might be very much elite dangerous frame shift driving.
Yeah.
Okay, so we might be getting to that direction as possible. Sorry, I just shook the camera. And that's a possibility. I don't think we'll have it to that extent of tactile, but I hope we do, and we'll see. But so that's a thing. And then you have your normal quantum travel mode, which is I am in a straight line going from one planet to another. And we'll see about that. It's all that stuff is possible. It is hard to deduce from the conversation that they had what quantum boost actually is, other than this. I want to go from an OM to a planet side location quite quickly. Or I want to go from a planet surface to the station above quite quickly. I think a really good example is something that I will take just a teeny tiny moment and bring up on the screen now, because I think they were probably trying to share their intentions a little bit on this during CitizenCon. We have seen this quite a bit. CitizenCon, the last panel was called...
Last panel of CitizenCon?
1.0. Yeah.
Whatever.
So let's look at that. I'm looking for when we went from the surface to the space station, because they quantum boosted when they did that. Here we go. All right. So they're on the surface and they're in SCM right now going, and they had mentioned top SCM speeds a lot. When we are here, that's where we're going to be. What top SCM speeds, we don't know. But then they go from very slow speeds to boom, that guy quantum boosted. That guy quantum boosted. This is not quantum travel. This is quantum boost. And you could tell, I think, based on some of the stuff that we're seeing here. So you're just, I want to travel up to that place, and you go. It does seem not hands-on, but we know from previous demos.
I also imagine that this was a completely on rails video anyway. So
of course, but we also know from complete other demos that it was somewhat hands-on. So we'll see. So I don't think that was quantum travel. I think that's quantum boost, and that's sort of their intention for it is, hey, I'm over here, but I want to go over there. I can literally see that place.
Yeah.
I'm going there quickly. And the big thing that they mentioned was, we want you spending more time playing and not traveling. Wow. Something I've been saying for 10 years. So thank you for finally recognizing it.
When am I going to take my bathroom breaks now, CIG? God
e-
damn it.
exactly, right? So that's I think what that is. Now,
Yeah.
what we don't know is how, and what they didn't discuss in the entire Master Modes discussion, for the most part, was what combat is going to feel like. Very, very
Yeah.
little about that. It was a lot about we think the problem is this, and it's
Hmm.
like, no, there's been lots of problems with Master Modes that aren't related to swapping the modes, it being
Yeah.
incredibly abrasive or abrupt, right? When you switch
Hmm.
modes, it's a very abrupt. It's first off loud
Yep.
sounds, second huge boosts back and forth, and it's all these weird things. They want to remove that completely. The other thing with quantum
Hmm.
boost is you boost in a direction until you run out of fuel is what it sounds like. And you decide when it stops.
Yeah.
And it stops instantly. So when I get close to that station, I click and I'm out. That's another thing that
Yep.
it sounds like it's doing as well. So I'm curious
Um,
about how that is with PvP. I'm getting
yeah.
attacked. I want to quantum boost away. I go out in that direction and then I hit stop and then I go somewhere
Yep.
else. Things like that. How do I run away from people? How do they
Hmm.
prevent me from running away? There's a lot that has to
Yep.
be talked about still when it comes to this.
Yeah. One thing you haven't mentioned in regards to combat is a little tidbit that Jared kind of like threw out of nowhere, which is you will be able to shoot out of like in non-SEM mode now as well. So presumably that means when you are in quantum boost, you can shoot, which could be really interesting. At the very least, maybe when you're like calibrating for it or whatever, you'll still be able to shoot.
Yeah.
So guns will be active, but your shields will not. Um, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Like maybe not while you're actually quantum traveling or boosting, but while
Yeah,
you
but at the very least, it sounds like while you're like
when you're
spooling for it
when you're in the mode.
or whatever.
When you're in the
Yeah, when you're in
mode,
the
you
mode.
will be
Yeah.
able to do it, which is a huge change. Never mentioned countermeasures, so we'll see. That's a big thing when people are running
Yep.
away, firing missiles at them. They're more effective because you don't have countermeasures at that point. So they never mentioned that. So we'll have to hear about that as well. Um, the other thing they felt will solve all their problems, which is hilarious to
Yep.
me. I feel like they're overcomplicating this to like the nth degree, is crafting. And as someone who
They talk a lot about crafting. Yeah.
yeah, as someone who absolutely wants to play the industry side of the game and do crafting and all that kind of stuff, and specifically for PvPers, I want to make the
Hmm.
PvP ships that PvPers want to use to do whatever PvP ends up being, and
Yep.
and territory control and all this kind of stuff. I
Hmm.
want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of the wars.
Yeah.
Whatever side I'm on, the winning side, the losing side, doesn't matter. I just want to be a part of it. And um I hated the conversation about it. It was very
Really?
confusing. Yeah, it's again, they're so vague, they're so confusing, and they're doing less for this conversation to share their vision and more to make it confusing, and almost kicking the work that should be done and should have already been done for master modes or just generally the flight years ago, and saying that crafting is going to be the solution for it. So if I want to be in a Gladius and fly fast, I can. If I want to be a Gladius
Yep.
and be more tanky, I can.
Hmm.
If I want to be a Gladius and have more capacitor, maybe I can. What
Yep.
but then they don't go, but there's no trade-offs. We don't know anything. So it was this very like, don't worry, we're going to fix master modes. But I don't understand how I don't feel good coming out of this. I don't feel better coming out of this video,
So
I would say.
what I got from the crafting talk conversation section was that they're actually doing something very similar to Eve,
Yeah,
which is because crafting is a player. Well,
but they
hopefully,
aren't.
I don't think they've explicitly said that NPCs can't craft, but that certainly is what it's been
Oh,
feeling like. Because it
okay.
is
Jared basically said it. Like,
cool, sweet.
or Jared or Rich. I can't remember who, but they basically said that only we will be doing the
Yeah,
tiers is what
yeah,
was implied in this video.
yeah, yeah. So because that's a thing, because it is that, it means you can move things like the metas of really whatever thing that you're doing, PvP, mining, whatever, uh, to the responsibility of the player. Which is great. That's a really good way to do the economy. Because it also means if something becomes an issue, like let's say everyone needs to be running tier 5 Buccaneers because they're just OP as hell and they're crazy, whatever. You can then just balance the crafting to make it so that those are like harder to craft and whatnot. And then the players will still just craft, you know, whatever's going to give players the best advantage. The money, in terms of like the economy, the money changing hands between players and the balancing of that. If something is, you know, once again, Buccaneer tier 5 becomes OP or whatever, players will pay more for that. That's an economy balance that's going to work in that.
Yeah,
regard.
but
so I'm actually really positive about this.
Yeah, but I don't know how you can be with what you just said, right? Like it's more like Eve, because it isn't just Buccaneer tier 5. Your Buccaneer tier 5 is going to be completely different than my Buccaneer tier 5. Mine might be the OP one, yours might not. And then what we talked about earlier, the balancing nightmare that they just created by saying everything that they said is insane. So
I disagree. I think because you are moving it, once again, because you're moving it to a player's responsibility, and the amount of like a lot of it will come towards what people are willing to pay, and then you can just balance blueprints, right?
And then what if I've already crafted something overpowered?
Welcome to video games. Like, you know what I mean?
But now I can ensure it and never lose it, and now it'll be OP forever, no matter what change they make.
It won't be, because they've nerfed it in a patch. That's what I'm saying. Like you can make it so that this works in the long run.
How can you nerf? Like let me like try to give the example, so you maybe because it just feels like you're not getting the point I'm trying to say. Is how can you nerf I crafted a Gladius that goes 600 meters per second.
Yep.
And then they decide that all crafted Gladiuses can't get that percentage from that point forward. What happens to mine? What happens to something I've already created?
That is nerfs. You are describing people's main complaints with nerfs in every video game.
No, because you. How do I make this clear again? After you're talking about, they can balance the crafting aspects of it. I'm saying if I've already crafted and it's already out there.
Yeah.
It can't be balanced.
Nerfed. Like a tier, yeah, because tier 5s get nerfed. Right? If let's say, use your example of the Gladius, let's say, tier 5 Gladiuses have 600 meters a second or whatever. They can just nerf tier 5 Gladiuses, and then people may stop crafting Gladiuses as much because they're not as OP. Like,
okay, did we watch? I like, everyone's agreeing with you, so I think I'm probably the one that's in the wrong here, but I don't understand how. So I watched CitizenCon a lot, and I was obsessing over the crafting stuff, and everything that was on there said, when I create this blueprint, or when I create the ship from this blueprint that I've researched, my blueprint says that this Gladius's engines will be 50% faster. Right there, my Gladius will be 50% faster. So what? So then, how are they going to balance / nerf
numbers,
the one that I made, and then yours?
Those numbers are determined by the materials you use, which are data sets that can be changed. So therefore, you can nerf it that way. So they can say, hey, your Gladius got that 50% extra speed because you used 99% super high tier gold. Well, if you use super high 99% tier gold, now it is slightly less. So then it just retroactively nerfs it on that Gladius.
This is so annoying because people are not understanding what I'm trying to say. Is that if my Gladius is already going these speeds, that I've already made these changes to the ship itself, is I've already made the ship. So then so there any like blanket thing that you would apply. Yeah. Oh, holy fuck! Unless they
I'm genuinely confused. Why can't they nerf the ship?
That's the whole fucking point I'm trying to say, is that you are trying to balance, like you are trying to to balance 100,000 puzzle pieces instead of 100 puzzle pieces. And what Eve does is, instead of saying, there's 47 tiers of all the different components. I mean, there are all different components and stuff that you put on the ships, right? But they say that this ship has a bonus to these things. That's what you use this ship for. The Gladius would have a bonus to speed. And that's what it would be. And then I can put a better drive on there, things like that.
Yep.
But if everything is so free flowing all the time, you're making balance 10,000 times harder for yourself. Instead
of course you are, but that is the exact same case in Eve. The amount of components that you have in Eve, and the amount of, like, when you also include like fashion components and stuff, those sort of things get balanced all the time. And it is a lot of things.
Yes,
right?
of course, but that is a specific. I don't see
why you wouldn't be able to do that.
Because that is a specific item. So a faction micro warp drive, let's say, is a specific item in Eve, guys. And if they feel that thing is OP, all of those items will be nerfed to the same blanket speed. So if I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, then the Gladius's engines, or maneuvering thrusters, whatever would be the factor here, would be nerfed to a cap top speed then. That's what you're trying to say? So I'm trying to understand what you're saying. Because what I'm saying is that I've gone above whatever that cap would be because I've already crafted it.
Sure, but I still don't understand why they can't bring it down after you've crafted it. I don't know where the disconnect is here. I'll try to. Here's like my overarching point, because of the way we've moved a little bit away from where it started.
Ooh, I think what Rattlehead just said in chat is probably the solution to all of what we're saying.
They changed the base stat. Sure. I'm not talking about specific stats changing. I'm just saying that they can alter these stats, right? But the biggest thing is that right now, if they were to introduce crafting as it had sounded, like there's the economy balance is like a big problem. Eve does economy balance really well by the more expensive, the more rare stuff costs more. If something is more expensive to craft, it costs more, and that is its own form of balancing, right?
Yes, but they also limit that each item and ship.
They do.
Hard limit those things.
Yeah, they do.
We are in control of those limits now, and that's what I'm trying to say is the balancing nightmare.
But those, I don't understand why those limits can't change if something becomes a problem.
I think they can, and I think that what we read in chat is the thing that I think I was missing, and now I'm understanding a little bit better, is that if you change the base stat, whatever I did after automatically would be reduced to the max level that, like, let's say I made an absolutely broken max Gladius. This is there, you cannot get better than this. And CIG went, whoa, holy crap. That is 20%
Mike's
too fast.
broken the game.
I broke the game, right? Let's say I broke the game.
Yeah.
They say that's too fast. Okay. Well, what do we do? Then they have to nerf the base stat of the ship, because whatever I applied, what my argument is whatever I applied is so many moving parts that it is impossible to balance.
It doesn't, just for that specific example, it doesn't necessarily have to be the base stat. They could also
just
nerf
cap
the rate, not even necessarily cap. The example that I was trying to use was like, let's say pristine gold gives you like extra speed or whatever on
on an engine,
on a scale.
Yeah.
You can nerf the scale. You can make it as it goes higher, it's not as aggressive, that sort of stuff, right?
Okay.
There's plenty of things that they could look at to nerf. But once again, the main reason why I thought that, like, to bring it all back, the main reason why I liked that bit of the topic of conversation is because they are talking about like essentially players being responsible for some level of balancing, like self-balancing. Because you will pay for certain things. Like they talked about economy basically, and it actually mattering in this instance.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's good. And the fact, and that's a good forethought that they don't often have.
Yeah, absolutely. it's I think it's super duper important. I just fear, like, I keep looking at these situations where
Mhm.
of I scan you and I are getting into a fight, and
Yep.
we're both in similar ships.
Hmm.
I scan your components. I see what components you have. I have
Yep.
no idea what's about to happen.
Do you reckon they might add that as a?
Maybe that's a lot of information there.
It is, but it'd be a cool just it'd be a cool thing for like scanning ships to do, like dedicated scanning ships.
Is that even something that's
That'd be cool.
would that maybe be a bad thing? What if you just is it better to just not know? Like, is it better to
I
just
do think it is because that's cool, right? Because then you're
yeah.
like, what's the rate like javelin v javelin? We don't know how like high tier their javelin
Nope.
is necessarily. So like, what's the range of like this fight that we could have would be cool. But then I do also think it would be cool if it's like, hey, we have our dedicated scout coming in. They're gonna scan the javelin while trying not to die and see like how we kind of size up. I think either way would be cool. Which one would be cooler? I don't know.
Yeah, it's just be like, oh, we're not really punching through their shields. They went shield tanky on this one. But
That could be cool as well because then you're like, all right, well now we need like yeah we assume their shields are better because they must have gotten tier 3 components, tier 5 shield upgrades, whatever. Let's do a different approach, right?
yeah. But I also like the idea of I have a Gladius, you have a Hornet,
Hmm.
and I know like they said that they wanted to like keep things simple, right? For the most part. And it's like if you have a Gladius and I have a Hornet, I mean that
Star Citizen simple.
yeah, but that was actually the theme of the show, believe it or not. I know we're getting deep here,
Yeah,
but the theme of the show was
yeah,
actually
yeah,
keep it simple, stupid for the most players.
yeah, yeah.
And um like if I have a Gladius and you have a Hornet or vice versa, it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
That I know what your weaknesses are and you know what my weaknesses are. I mean, we talked about Eve again, and
Yeah.
we could bring it up again here is that I don't actually know the I'm still so new to the game. Minmatar is good with shields and Kaldari is good with armor. Like there's
Missiles.
shit
Yeah,
missiles, whatever, right? So there's certain every faction has a ship type in Eve,
yeah, yeah.
and that faction has its weaknesses and its bonuses. So you can
Yeah.
have like let's use mining ships as an example.
Hmm.
We only have one small mining ship at the moment,
Yeah.
but the reality I think we would want to see is that there would be maybe 4 or 5 and each
Yeah.
one would be slightly different from the other. Now that we have
Hmm.
complete control over the ships, I want to hear a lot more about the base stats of ships. That's
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
that's what that's basically the big conversation that I'm having, and I'm
Hmm.
glad Rattlehead, and I'll definitely call you up by name, put that in the chat because that was the point that I was trying to make is what is I still have a Gladius. I still
Hmm.
want to have a Gladius. They made it sound like, bringing Avenger 1 up here because he's the one who's been advocating for, I want faster speeds, I want faster speeds, I want
Hmm.
faster speeds. It almost seemed like they were talking to him in this conversation was, if you want to be that pilot, you can be. But they also
Hmm.
said, but you would choose an interceptor and make it faster. And it was like, well,
Yeah.
the interceptor goes fast in a straight line. Guys like Avenger, if you're listening to this, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm making an assumption here, so I apologize if I get it wrong. Is a lot of those guys used Gladiuses, used arrows,
Yep.
used these nimble, like positionally controlling
Hmm.
ships back in the day, and they loved that and they want that back.
Yep.
Will those still be those? Like, will they be able to do that again? Right? Is the question based on what they're asking for? That's what those pilots want. They want that positional combat again.
And will crafting be enough to bring it to that as well, right? Like it might
Yeah.
get us a little bit there towards that old sort of feel, but
Is the
not
base
necessarily all the
arrow
way.
going to be super nimble, but I can get it to where I want to get it? And then what's the
Mm.
what's the downside? What do I lose by choosing that path? Right? Because
Yeah.
like we mentioned in Eve, they're good at shields, this ship, but it has no armor. Right?
Yeah.
Or it's
Yeah.
good at defense against a certain type of weapon, but bad
Hmm.
against another. And they
Yep.
mentioned no trade-offs in this talk. I want to
Yep.
hear.
Which
I want to
also
see those base
we are
stats
using
because
Eve
that
as
will
an
be the
example.
trade-off.
We are using Eve as an example for that. That is like every video game. That is
Yeah.
that applies to so many different things. So.
Yes, except for this one, it seems for the moment. And I would be curious if the base stats of a Gladius would go down a route that the base stats of an Arrow wouldn't, and they would be the same class of ship. They would just be different company or different faction in the Eve example, and then you can take the Gladius to a certain place that you may want to take it, but maybe the Arrow goes the place that you really want, and the Gladius wouldn't be, and so you would be an Arrow pilot because that's your ship, that kind of thing. So it sounds like that's what they want to do, but how? And it was so vague, and I need more. You need to talk more about these things.
Yeah,
or
I will say they are putting a lot of heavy lifting on crafting, which is a little fair. Crafting in like these kinds of games usually does have a huge impact.
Yes.
But it's going to be interesting to see just how much of a sort of crutch crafting becomes over the course of the years.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. Also, I will tell you my one concern about this talk. Racing. Am I just going to be quantum boost racing now?
Well,
I really want to know what
hold
the deal
on,
with this
hold
is,
on.
right?
Maybe
Or are we
maybe
going to get
that...
like a racing mode or?
Well, no, maybe it's your base stats
mode,
of the ship.
You know what I mean?
Your base stats, those base engines, those base maneuvering thrusters on those ships, and then maybe those ships, and you need the racing power plants and the racing these things, and then those just can't handle like as many weapons, or they have to balance those ships so they could be so super speedy and so fun, but not compete in PvP, which is something that they have never successfully done to this day.
I will say, luckily, all of their new racing ships just now don't have guns, which great. Awesome.
They're just missiles now. They're missiles.
They are torpedoes. They are size 12 torpedoes. But so that's one thing I'm just a little concerned on anyway, and seeing how that goes.
Can I say my huge concern before we move on? Because that's when I said that you're. I'm glad you brought that up. Is crafting. So the thing that Rich Tyrer said is, if you don't want to craft, you don't have to. You'll just buy from the crafters. And the example that he gave was a PvPer. And we got to bring up Eve again, because it's the I think it's the best. It's the closest cousin to Star Citizen. Just Star Citizen is more first person and more tactile, but the games are very similar. When you PvP in Eve, what do you do after you kill someone?
You loot them.
You loot them. How do you loot somebody how do you loot another ship in a Gladius? How do you loot another ship in a Buccaneer? How do you loot another ship in these common PvP ships? You can't. You cannot.
Very quickly.
No.
You sort of can. So a lot of the
you cannot
to continue using Eve as your example. A lot of the smaller Eve ships have terrible cargo holds,
but
and can only loot very small things. But they do have them. They can. You also can, but you'll only be looting like things on someone's body, which at the moment completely irrelevant. Yeah, at the moment completely irrelevant. May be relevant in the future. So the other thing that you would have to do in Starset is if the thing you have taken out would be very valuable, you're going to have to either mark the spot, go back, get a ship that can loot it, come back, and then grab the stuff, or sell it to someone else.
All right. So this is fun. Here's a comment from the chat. Hello, it's an MMO. You have someone in a ship looting nearby. Yeah. Hello, it's an MMO. And I'm not one of these players, but there are solo PvPers in this game, right? And there's people that want to play solo in this game. I am pointing out very, 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 very obvious broken flaws of this game and its experience for those type of players right now. Based off of the example that he gave, there is very little arguments that you have. Yes, you could swap components only if they're better. But my argument is, I see that in chat as well, so that's why I brought that up.
Yeah.
My argument here is that even if I solo PvP'd, I could take probably the most valuable component on off of somebody's ship in Eve and take that and sell it. How does a solo PvPer make money in Star Citizen? How do they? And I don't see a single way of doing it outside of killing that player, going all the way back to the station, grabbing your cargo ship, and coming back and looting that stuff or salvaging it and doing all those things. Do solo PvPers want to do that? No. So if you are going, and not just solo PvPers,
unless it's, I will say, unless it is
single-
extremely lucrative.
Yes, of course.
Everyone will do anything if it is extremely lucrative.
Listen, you won't survive. I don't do this normally, but some of these comments are just so insane. Listen, you won't survive solo PvP anyway. Okay, dude. So
I think you're bringing up good points.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of sort of stuff for them at the moment to sort of sit back on to make that work for solo PvPers.
I'm not doing this for you, Croncy. I'm just reading chat, and I can't do it anymore. Solo PvPers make money when they do assassination contracts. That is not PvP. That is not PvP. It is, but they don't want to run missions. Like you have to. It's a bunch of people in chat that don't participate in this kind of gameplay. Solo PvPers do not want to do bounties, guys. They want to kill people, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
I was going to suggest you could use the reputation system to make it work in some sort of way. So, you know, you're a solo PvPer, you team up with Xenothreat, whatever. Similar to how we have like call to arms, you could just have the like, and I think they did it with like one of the Nine Tails lockdowns basically had this. It was like call to arms, but for pirates, right? You could have that be a part of it. I can't think of any other way at the moment in the game system how you would get it to work for specifically solo PvPers. I guess. Well, like, yeah, I guess one of the options would be there are lootables that are small, like really, really small, right? That you can put on yourself, that you can fit onto your small ship, which I don't think would be the worst. Like you could immediately think of things like an AI like chip or something gets looted that's very small that you can chuck in, or like a medal or whatever. Players dropping like dog tags, like Tarkov, right? Could also be like a sort of similar example.
Let's use use the arrow as a good example. Arrow's a gold standard ship. It has a little inventory space. They just let me put one component in there, maybe two. Yeah, that's it. I think that and that's it. That's the solution. I think is just let me use. I know it's a small ship. That's okay. Let me put a little something in there. Let me put a little something in there. A ship weapon, maybe not, but maybe a shield can definitely fit in a. It even physically looks like it can fit in there, right?
Yep. Something
like that. I don't care what people are like. I got to stop looking at chat because I've played the experience that doesn't exist in Star Citizen. And it is so incredibly satisfying. Even if you're roaming in a game like Eve in a large group, you are roaming, you're killing somebody, the guy goes down, there's the loot container there, everybody rushes for it and grabs whatever they can. And every single ship that is in that roam, whether it is a frigate, which is like a small light single-seater example for Star Citizen, or a big ship, every single one of them has enough cargo space to take something. And that is what is missing in Star Citizen. And that's a big problem with PvP, is he said that PvPers just spend the money and make the money. Okay, fine. Then another argument that I didn't see from chat is that there would be, orgs would back up those players. Yeah, probably. Orgs would give them money so they would be able to get the ship. Okay, sure. But those players have to have that experience. You have to give that experience, because killing players is fun. But there has to be that I killed you and took 100 million. I got 100 million from that kill. You have to have that in this game. Trust me. Please trust me on this. This has to happen. If it doesn't happen, it's stupid.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it is a weird, like it is a unique problem for Star Citizen because of the way the game is. So it's like, I think there needs to be a unique solution. Um, but they also need to talk about it because we're about to get pyro. That stuff's going to be happening more often. And you never want everyone to be out of the to trying to think of the word. You want everyone to be able to do their thing and do their thing okay.
Yeah. I'm
So,
not necessarily going to participate in this gameplay, but it needs to exist.
yeah, it existing because like you're a bit more of an industrial player.
Yeah.
If you have to move cargo from Castra to Stanton, which is when Castra comes out, is going to be one of the most like popular things that people have to do is go through Pyro to get to Stanton.
Yep.
The idea of the risk makes the game so much more interesting. And
there's only risk
solo PvP
if
is in that
somebody
example.
wants your stuff and they have to be able to get it, right? Yeah. And the ships that they're going to use to kill you cannot get your stuff. That's my argument, guys. That's my argument. So, and the solo PvPer is probably flying a single seater ship. And if they're not, then nobody's flying single seater ships, probably. So it's like, okay, well then take a Cutlass. But that's not the ships that they want to, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to advocate for everybody to have what they want here. Just let me take a quantum drive and throw it in my ship. I think that is probably a decent middle ground.
I think that would be fine. I think there are other ways to do it. Just because Star Citizen is a weird game with weird rules versus other games.
Yeah.
But the idea that they essentially need to be compensated somehow in an interesting way too, not just here's a UEC, is an important factor. I also want to touch on one thing that you mentioned that Richard Tyra said, I think, which is like, PvP players, you'll just buy the stuff. To be fair, 90% of PvP players will still probably participate in crafting one way or the other with their homesteads. Like that stuff will be there. I'm sure
reluctantly
they're gonna yell at me. Someone's gonna yell at me and be like, I am never going to craft ever. But that aspect does come into it. I think it's a bit it's a bit aggressive to say that they can just all buy it from people when realistically they'll be like when we get entire orgs sitting in like one area of a planet, they'll be making them themselves. And solo players will be in those orgs. They'll just, they'll buy their stuff from their org members.
Yeah.
Either way.
But again, how do they make money? If you really think about it, everyone's answer is go do bounties, go do PvE, go do crafting. And it's like you don't understand the mentality of these people. I've been one of these people at times. I never start out in MMOs like that, but I always end my MMOs just like a complete PvP murder hoboing, whatever, because that's all that's fun at the end, right? That's all you want to do. But if the game is to be healthy, they need to maintain their ships. They need to buy more of them. They need to get more of them. So the crafters are doing it, and it's this nice perfect loop, right? So how do they make money?
Oh, I got something for you, Mike.
All right.
Random chance blueprints when you blow up a ship.
Yeah, I'm not against that kind of gameplay, but is that really a Star Citizen thing,
It could be.
Yeah. But, I'm not for that personally, but it just because it doesn't feel like Star Citizen. Piracy is not PvP. Piracy is PvP, but PvP is more than just piracy.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. So every aspect of the game, players need to be able to make money, and I'm arguing that there's one aspect where they don't, and that was the literal example that Rich Tyrer gave. Yeah. So I think that's something they really need to address. But yeah, we're coming up to hour 1 done, and we haven't even talked about Save Stanton. So Save Stanton, I absolutely hated it, but I see the potential of the resource gathering stuff.
That's exactly where I was going to go. So this is the first resource gathering mission, technically, with maybe the exception of the the original Ninetales lockdown like medical supplies delivery mission. Um, uh, and yeah, sweet, hell yeah, I'm keen. It feels like they are like this. It was bad. It didn't work. it, it was terribly balanced. I did it in 10
It
minutes
shows the flaws of
because
the
people just gave
current.
me all the stuff.
Yep, exactly. It shows the
Yep.
flaws of the current cargo system. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
this is incredibly tedious and annoying.
hmm
And
Um,
yeah,
but I like the idea that there was a mission that if you wanted to,
yep,
you could go mine some Bexalite, go mine some Agricium. You could refine it and hand it in for a mission and make some money. That is awesome. That is a huge deal. We need to see it at larger scales. We also need to see it work with refining jobs, because if you take the mission right now, the refining job is going to take so long that usually the mission will either fail or you're just sitting there doing nothing for too long.
yep.
But in principle, awesome. So um, I don't know about you. Do you feel like we're getting a couple of new mission types in 4.0? Very few. Do you think this is another test for that? Do you think we'll see some 4.0 gathering missions?
Yeah, I would imagine that whatever we had here will probably end up there. It's
Yeah.
it almost it almost has to, I would think, but
Mm.
I I just didn't like the idea that it was buying the cargo and the cargo was so readily available.
Yeah, that I didn't like. That's why I
Yeah.
I like the idea of the Bexlite and Agricium stuff, but then just the hey, sit here, buy some hydrogen. Okay. Like once again, you could also, if you wanted to, you could go do some bounties and you could loot boxes from those bounties. But that aspect is far too random, and
Yeah.
so you'd be doing it for a while till you have the right combination.
Yep. I just think there's a
Yeah.
couple things that need to change, and we know that they're going to do it. I've talked about it a lot on the
Mhm.
podcast. Like, if I have an Argo raft and I'm going around, so I have 96 SCU, and
Yep.
I just needed what usually was somewhere around 30-ish, maybe
Mhm.
45-ish that you needed for each mission. Like, I should be able to put 332 SCU containers on my raft and fill one of them with 11 SCU, fill another one with 12 SCU
Yep.
of something. It's just they've as per usual put an incomplete system in the game, and that are trying to make basically complete missions work with those incomplete systems, and it's just we're hitting a
Yeah.
wall with everything, right? Like somebody mentioned, mining didn't work because the refinery gives you the largest boxes, and then you can't return those
Yeah,
boxes to the places you want
you'll
needed to go.
lose. If you had 16 SEU of
Yep.
Bexalite and you only needed 4, you would just lose it all.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just like, what? Or like you didn't make any money doing the mission because you just bought all 16s because you didn't
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like moving 1,000 different cargo boxes just to be able to complete the mission. So you would just
Mhm.
buy all 16s and then just lose money just to be able to get the guns.
Yeah.
Which the guns were fun. I thought the guns felt pretty
Yep.
good.
Yep.
But yeah,
I will say, the person that said,
potential's
"What
there
about
though.
solo players who don't want to mine?" Well, you don't have to. That's fine. The fact that there is multiple avenues to do this mission is good. But like Mike is saying, a lot of these are not complete, or they're awkward, or they're just it's a strange iteration of this type of mission, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
I
yeah.
saw somebody else in chat say that they wanted it to only be salvaging and mining. You cannot do that, right? Because the mission
You can't do that for a
for a
an
global
like
event.
this.
Yeah, because it
Exactly.
needs to be available for people who don't like. You can't even get a vulture without buying it in game or buying it for real money. So you can't even rent it, right? You can rent a prospector, but you can't rent a vulture. So
I
it makes it challenging for players to
yeah.
complete this if it was only salvaging and only mining. Now, do I
I'll
want
add
only
one
salvaging and
caveat.
mining missions? Yes, of course.
Yeah, 100%. I'll add a caveat to the you need to make it so that everyone can do it in their own way, sort of thing. If player trading was in the game and simple, I would be fine with it. Like if it was,
Yeah, you just put
you
up
have
the
to get
stuff on the
Bexalite,
market.
but I can buy it from Billy. Cool.
Yeah. Well, and I mean that's basically what's in the game. You need to get
Pretty much.
Bexalite, you go to Magnus and you go buy it.
Yeah.
That's what everyone was doing, right? So everything was readily available in the game for you to go to purchase, but I don't know what percentage of players like and what percentage of players dislike the current cargo, moving mechanics, but
Yeah.
as someone who likes them, I hated this. I hated this experience.
Yep.
So yeah, it just wasn't
Like I said,
enjoyable.
I had someone just gave me all the materials and I just submitted it all. So
That's how I
just
ended
so I
up
could do it
finishing it.
quickly. Yeah.
I think I did 3 on my own or 4 on my own, and then the last 4 that I had to do, which by the way, 6 out of 6, hilarious. I had to do 9 out of 6 to finish it for it to
Oh,
actually
rip
give me.
you.
Yep.
I got
But
the perfect 6.
nope. But good thing for me, my org got all the materials together and
Yeah,
stored them in our org hangar, and that was it. We just, hey,
yeah.
you guys want to finish the mission? Come meet me in my hangar. Up, you put it down. Up, you put it down, and we just would do that for everybody. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's that. That sucks,
Mhm.
but it has tons of potential, and I look forward to
Yeah,
stuff in the
it's a
future.
type of mission I want to exist in the game, so
Exactly
I'm
right.
glad we're
Just
getting it.
sucked for Save Stanton because you had to do it.
Mhm.
You didn't do it when you wanted to do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of putting it. Because
Yeah,
like I
you
wouldn't have
had to.
minded like, you know what? Today we're gonna do mining. We're going to like we know that there's missions for Bexlad and Agricium. We're gonna spend 6 hours just stacking it so that when we come back tomorrow, we're just delivering Bexlad and Agricium
Also, it
across the
should have
thing.
been
That'd
like
be
2
awesome.
missions, not 6.
6 was aggressive
6
for
was
that one.
insane. 6 was insane, dude. How does a solo player complete 6 with like if they just have like a C8?
Yeah, that'd be
I guess they rent,
that'd
but
take a
like
while.
that's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah.
All right, Anvil Paladin, or we're never gonna finish this show in time.
Oh shit, yeah. Yeah, so new gunship. It is a reskinned, like worked Valkyrie, basically, which I love because the Valkyrie is one of my
Oh,
favorite
I thought you were
combat
gonna
ships
say
in the game.
Redeemer.
No, like as in like physically,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is
yeah.
a Valkyrie.
Yep.
It is I think one crew less than a Redeemer. Right? Yeah, I think that's right. You have 2 sets of double 4s on the sides, 1 set
Yeah.
of quad 5s on the top. The pilot has no guns.
Had no guns.
Yeah, had no guns. They have since said that the side guns will be able to be used by the pilot if there's no one in there. So it's a fair amount. Oh, and then also like a bunch of missiles. I think it's like 6 size 4 missile racks or something. It's got a lot of firepower. It's cool.
Super
I
sick
love this.
cockpit. Yeah, sick
Yeah, that is
cockpit.
dope as hell. So it is 2 different levels, but it's just kind of cool that you can like look down and see the other people in the ship. But yeah, it is a Redeemer competitor. As long as they make it nowhere near as maneuverable as the Redeemer, it could be cool.
So somebody brought something interesting up in Discord this morning
Mhm.
or last night. We had a Redeef, a Redeef. We had a nerf,
Redeem enough.
Redeemer
Yeah.
nerf, a Redeef, where it used to have a size 5 turret.
Yeah.
And now it doesn't.
It used to have 2 size 5 turrets.
Yeah.
Right.
And now it doesn't.
Yeah.
And
But
now
it
this
still
does.
has. This does, but the Redeemer still has 2 more guns. And is way more maneuverable. Well, we don't know how maneuverable this is, but they made the Redeemer more maneuverable at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
but just pointing out, this was a marketing nerf to the Redeemer, probably. I think that they knew this was coming, and they decided to make that nerf not because that ship in particular was too good. We know that the nerf for the Drake ship, it's escaping a Corsair.
I was just about to mention
was
that.
like absolutely needed. And anyone who's complaining about it is an idiot. I'm sorry.
I think it was show 2 or 3 when they literally said it was like responsible for like 60% of all kills or something.
Yeah.
The Corsair.
40%.
Which is just a ridiculous stat. Yeah.
So like obviously that's insane, right? But I don't recall the Redeemer being that excessive or anything. It was strong. It had a time where it was strong. So
yeah. It was really, really strong when it came out. They slowed the turrets, and then it was arguably still strong. People just didn't like that the turrets move slower. But these ships are always weird to balance because, by their own admission, there's not really missions for these ships yet.
Yeah. Jumptown was sort of like what it should have been. Like
Yeah,
these should be
yeah.
strong at Jumptown gunships. Like
Mm-hmm.
but gunships in today's day like are typically like helicopters, right? They shoot down or they shoot at like tanks and things like that. So we know here's the only thing I can think of is that we know ships or like vehicles like tanks and stuff like that, you can't really see them on radar. Maybe these have we know from monthly reports there might be specific radars. Maybe these are able to equip radars that can see vehicles better.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Maybe. But yeah. So
yeah.
Anti-fighter escorts. I don't know about that. At least not in the current
I'll be buying
day.
it in game. That's for sure.
Yeah,
because
this is not a purchase for me.
Yeah, I love the Valkyrie aesthetic.
But the
as a
paint,
ship. I don't like a lot of Anvil, but I like the Valkyrie aesthetic.
The paint, though.
Oh, it's trash.
It's so
Give
good.
me better paint.
Remember how I said I love black ships? Look at this.
That's true. Yeah, you did.
Look at this. That
is pretty cool in that aspect.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
As I will echo it for the rest of my life. I am so sick of these boring ass paints. Give me bright yellow. Give me bright pink. Give me neon green. Like, you can't convince me that like physical stealth matters in this game in terms of colors and whatnot. Just give me something fun to look at. But okay, yeah, the black on this isn't too bad.
It looks really good. Now, I will not even be thinking about purchasing these ships, and I don't know. I don't want to do this because I'm literally getting blamed. I see it in comments and stuff. I'm literally getting blamed for people getting let go from the company and stuff. Like because I don't advocate for making stupid purchases and feeding into CIG's like FOMO marketing bullshit. And this a picture of a ship after in the last two IAE shows them saying not in 1.0 for a ship that you spent money on 5 years ago, 6 years ago is insane. How would anybody think to spend $260 for something that might not ever happen? Like realistically may never happen at this point. That's the like if they don't say to me that this ship is coming out in the next year, why would I ever spend money on this picture now? When I spent money on the the Crusader, the one that flies
Starliner.
like the Starliner, like, and then they tell me that's not coming out in 1.0.
Yeah.
Why did I do that? Why did you do that?
Yeah.
That's not okay to do. This is bullshit.
That is a good point that we went like we missed when we were talking about IAE show. So they mentioned that both the Starliner and the Endeavor, not for 1.0.
Yep.
The Endeavor, it's not surprising.
No, they've been literally
seems like a mess.
Saying that would be the last ship always.
Yeah, the Starliner was surprising to me because I think it was like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, when we were getting like the more extended roadmap information, as in like, hey guys, this is what we're working on for the next year.
Yep.
They had like the Orion and the Starliner go up at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, okay, so they have like a higher priority for transportation gameplay sort of stuff, right?
Yep.
And for the Starliner.
And then they didn't.
Yeah, so that gameplay then I imagine, like transportation gameplay, just won't exist in 1.0. Yeah.
600i, pointless again because that's another ship that like that's what it did, right? Yep. So the I just struggle with this. Or you know what? Buy 12 of them. Because guess what? This money is going to go to make Squadron and it's going to go to make this, but it won't negatively affect the experience of the game because the ship's not going to exist in it. So buy as many of them as you want. Maybe I shouldn't tell you not to buy it because go for it. You're not going to have there's no pay to win here because you don't get anything. So go pay to wait. Go for it.
I did see a lot of people melt their redeemers for this. Because it's the
you'll get a redeemer as a loaner. Anyway,
exactly right. So, is that the opposite of what we were talking about before? If people sold the better ship,
so this was explained to me a little bit. Is this kill if it's cheaper than the ship that it's better than? It kills.
It kills
CCU.
the better ship. Oh, the more expensive ship.
It kills the CCU.
Yes.
You can't
Yes.
CCU from that ship to this, so you have
Yep.
to use whatever store credit you have left or add more money to it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Is what people are saying. I don't know if they're that vindictive or whatever. They might be.
Yeah.
Because their job is to make as much money as they possibly can, right? To keep the doors open. And to be clear, I want that to happen too. I just want them to do it in a way that doesn't negatively affect the game. And yeah, buy as many of these you want because you're never gonna fucking see it, I think. So it doesn't matter.
In both support of what you were saying before and also, well, just extra points, I guess, to be added about what you were saying before, with like, you never know when the ship is going to come out. Every concept ship in the last like 4 years for IAE, so we've got like the Odyssey, the Arastra, the Perseus might be an exception. They're not coming out for a while. They're not getting worked on for a while.
Well, Perseus maybe, right?
That's why I say Perseus the exception, because
Yeah.
they've talked about how it's on the 12
Oh,
month,
sorry, I missed the exception part on it.
This is a lot smaller than those.
Yeah.
So the standard is that we probably won't see it for a while, but I don't know.
But it's small, and it already looks like a ship we already have. They might have all
it's a
the
modified
assets.
Valkyrie. So there's a lot. There's
But
still a lot of work to do, but there's a lot less.
But if they don't tell you when you're getting it, if it's not in a silhouette, if it isn't any of these things, I'm telling you, I'm not touching it for even store credit. Why? Why even bother? Right? That's just how I feel at this point. Because now we are in the, it will be there at launch or it will not be there at launch. And you are buying ships in this game to have them at launch. That is the main benefit for buying spaceships for real money, is to have it on launch. If it's not there, why did I spend money on it? And that's what really pisses me off about some of those things, is that every concept they should have made beforehand should be in the game on launch. And that is garbage. And it is what it is. Like, I understand why it's happening. It doesn't mean it's not shit that they did it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's a bad experience, of course.
Horrible. You know, but we have so many callers.
They do. Just to make one more point.
Go for it, and then we'll get to them.
Does that point speak to them having a realistic timeline for 1.0, possibly?
Yes, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing. But it's like they're doing what's best to get the game out, but they're not doing what's best for the people who invested in you to get the game out.
Job.
So it's just really sad. It's they're doing what they have to do. I'm not knocking on them for it. It's just they continuously make ships that nobody asked for, and they're not making the ones that people already paid for. It's just screwed. So yeah, it is what it is, but can't do much about it. Ready for some callers? Guys, everybody that we have 2, 4, 6, 8 callers. I want to get to all of them. We are keeping you short and to the point. That goes.
I'm gonna time you guys.
That goes for you, Artesius. You're going last. All right. Bring it in.
We want to set it at like 5 minutes?
Max. Like 5 minutes,
cool.
and you are out. I'm literally cutting you off and you're gone. Because we have to get to the IAE show stuff. All right?
Yep, easy.
Punja Stick, welcome.
Punja Stick, how you doing?
Hello, hi. Thanks for having me on again. All right, I kind of wanted to circle back to the save Stanton stuff and capital ship gameplay and CIG's intentions for that.
Bring it.
Yep.
So just my limited experience, 6 or 7 of the Idris missions just in save Stanton seems to kind of lend itself towards capital ship gameplay, shaping up to what CIG envisions.
Sure.
Yes.
Bugs, but
bugs. I was gonna say not bugs aside. Yes, but it's also too exploitable.
Too exploitable, but that's something that could be fixed later. The most frustrating part is how hard it's been to get the missions done, even if you have like 10, 15, 20 other players in the server. Just pugs haven't really been cutting it. The only time that I found we've made any inroads with the mission, getting it done before it bugged out, getting it done before someone boarded it and ran off with it or whatever and broke the chain for the rest of the server. It seems to lend itself towards orgs being a much more important facet for these like larger world events, which I'm fine with. I'm happy for these for orgs to take a more prominent role in like something you want to join because it allows you to play the game in a more capable way.
Yeah,
But
I just think that for the first like Overdrive was very similar, and for these first couple, you could tell that they tried to make it so you could play as a solo player, but then they did phase 3, and it was just like,
yeah, in Overdrive, they gave you a javelin to help sometimes, and that made it easier.
yeah,
Yeah. I think it's
Uh,
important as well. It's like there is no dedicated gameplay for large groups yet. This also feels like kind of a test for that.
it's close.
So
Yeah,
yeah, it's very close. It's just once again right now super exploitable. You just put the Polaris right in front of the cockpit and torpedo it and GG. So the one time we did board the Idris to complete the mission because they want you to do that as well. One of the like
it's an option.
triggers for it completing is I believe it's the pilot dying.
Correct.
Yeah.
Was super cool because I never really had a good experience doing the I don't think anyone did when Xenothreat. The last time Xenothreat happened and like you were supposed to jump onto the Idris and like take it over. I had terrible experiences there. I had a little better experiences here with Save Stanton doing it, and that gameplay is so cool. But once again, like it's finally gameplay for big groups.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. It's just with the first rewards like that, only being difficult for solo players, kind of rough. But yeah, I'm not gonna knock that too much. It's
that's yeah. As a global event, that is when we 100% need our group finder. If you want to do that, you want to have an event where people can get some items. Solo players need to be able to get into big groups easy.
Yep, 100%.
I would say it needs more than just a group finder because like in a couple of the missions that I ran with basically pugs is we had the 10, 15, 20 players, but everyone was kind of in their own category. People had brought light fighters. Only a couple of people brought 2-person Polarises. No one was really on the same page, and that's why I say this sort of event leans towards you need an org if you want to participate in these things, and there's not really and maybe this will come with the org rework stuff, but there's not really a good way to find an org that A, like you want to join, and B, can be comfortable joining and sticking it out with, because there's not a lot of information telling you what the org is about, like not just in terms of gameplay, but also culture. Things that you're likely to experience. Maybe you're the sort of person like me who doesn't want to hear the gamer F word ever.
Yep.
And maybe org you join is fine with that. Maybe there's they have a pretty lax opinion on how to treat people with certain personal opinions about certain world events or whatever. There's cultural elements that just aren't able to be reflected in finding a group that I'm hoping maybe through tagging or something they add to the org system.
Yeah, I think a lot of the systems I talked about at SysCon will probably alleviate a lot of those concerns. And so I'm just hoping that comes out really soon. It's real important that we have this is like you even mentioned a pug system might not even be enough. Do not underestimate how much better it is for people to just be able to click a button and press apply over typing in global chat like, "Hey guys, I'm really interested in doing this thing." Blah blah blah. The disconnect is that much extra. I will also say we have approached the 5 minutes. If you have anything else to say,
No, that's mostly it.
All right.
Awesome.
All right, thank you for having me.
Later,
No problems. Just being on.
Okay. So next one, and I was getting them all ready, is Rockidos.
Hey,
How you
thank you
doing?
for having me back. So 2 things. So for PvP looting, there's something I'd like to see and something that already exists. Most of the single seat fighters are small enough to fit in carriers like Polaris. So
Sure.
if you're going to be using a light even a medium fighter for PvP, you're expected to go back to your carrier ship and use that for looting. But what I would like to see to improve that possibility is it letting size 1 components actually fit in a backpack. Or a
Yeah.
size 1 shield or cooler, like, put on a rifle rack.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like even just
a rifle
putting
rack,
it,
yeah, that'd be a good one
putting
to
it on your backpack, not even in, right?
Yeah, kind of like how the gadgets like have that slot underneath some of the backpacks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like the size ones are small enough, right? Like they're like, as in like
Whatever.
physically.
What, like, you can disagree with my solution of like having the inventory on your ship. That is the simplest way of doing things. But the the more complicated way, or there could be other complicated ways, there could be other ways. Just let a player in a single-seater ship loot something that would drop from another single-seater ship. That's it.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
don't think I'm asking for anything too crazy.
Then there's the gunship drama.
Yep.
I'm going to skip the history lesson over the gunship class, but something I would like to see is for the Corsair, just give that co-pilot an actual turret for those guns. And for the Redeemer, what I would like to see is those useless tail guns replaced with PDCs. Make the smallest ship with PDC.
Okay.
Ooh,
I don't hate that idea. Yeah.
Damn, me and Mike are on the same page.
Yep.
Yeah,
Listen,
I don't
after
hate that.
seeing PDCs work,
Mhm.
I'd like to see PDCs on more. I want to see PDCs on my mole. Like, have some defenses, you know, little automated defenses.
Give me a light fighter that just has 3 PDCs and no other weapons.
Oh, and all you do is fly.
You're just flying around.
So for a brief period, when in the Evocati or whatever, when you could pull the PDCs off the
yeah, you could
Phoenix.
put them on a Fury, right? I saw like there was like 4 PDCs on a Fury. I don't think it worked, at least on that one though.
I had a theory craft for a Mustang Delta with the rocket pods, 2 PDCs, and a turret, then a little turret in the front.
Yeah.
What sort of Halloween concoction, like Frankensteining, are you doing here? You're creating Frankenstein.
It's a ground attack craft because back then the PDCs would shoot ground troops too.
Fair.
Gotcha. That would be crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I just want to see them on more ships.
Yeah, I think they're a good mechanic. That and like it is an interesting mechanic too that I think they could do a lot with. Like there is honestly no reason you couldn't do like a big PDC on something. I don't know how you would balance it, but like as in like a larger weapon, right? And sort of mess around with that concept too. But I've been enjoying what I've been seeing of it in game, and at the moment it doesn't feel too OP. So
no, not yet, but I'd be curious if servers ever worked really, really well and they dialed them in the way they had wanted. How does like my assumption is when armor comes in or Maelstrom, that those little pea shooter guns won't be doing too much damage to ships, maybe to shields or something like that, but they're really meant to be there to take out missiles and stuff, right?
So I've also got like a pitch for like an entire hacking system. But,
make it quick because you're at 5 minutes.
Yep.
Just for PDCs and bladed weapons. Being able to hack those and being able to reset them when they're hacked is something that would add to their gameplay.
Yeah. It would make a lot of sense within within how they want capital ship gameplay to work, right?
Yeah.
Is you're adding in like, you know, Mike was saying like, well, if light fighters are supposed to like attack turrets and PDCs and stuff, but like those turrets and PDCs are good at attacking live fighters. What's the deal? It's like, well, hacking could be the sort of bridge there to make it so that they're disabled when you do come in to fight them and whatnot.
I
So-
like rock,
And it
paper,
does add a
scissors stuff.
distinction between blades and actual like crew members.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that'd
all right.
be a good way to do it.
All right. We'll let you go though, because it's time.
Yep.
All right.
Catch you
Yeah,
later.
we appreciate the call.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Catch you, mate.
All right, and we're gonna bring in Space Monkey. Let me close.
Hey,
Space Monkey Business. First time caller?
first time caller, as always. Just for
Yeah.
you, Croncy, just for you. No, to keep it quick, two things. One, I like to see the phase 4 stuff as a glimpse for resource gathering. But I think to make it more flexible, they should make it that you have to maybe just deliver like a minimum amount of resources of this and that, but being like open to, I don't know, amount of X as a bonus. Because just keeping it to a specific amount makes it maybe too unflexible for players, because you just go out and mine and it's random what you find, and just keeping like as a range for a mission is, I think, feels better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be cool to just have rewards as well. They're just like you know how they do with other missions, bonuses plus or whatever. Just that for when you turn in all that extra stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like 100 SU of Grisium to, I don't know, 150, and if you deliver 120, you get the base amount plus X as a bonus up top.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Just bring me minimum.
Yeah,
Right.
minimum.
Yeah.
And to the third episode regarding the master modes, when I saw that, I had the feeling it's also a balancing nightmare for me, because or it gives me the impression like, we don't know how to balance them, now it's your turn. We give you like base stats, but whatever you could do, just do it and figure it out for yourself. And they're like, I don't know if this is the way to do it.
It's definitely not the way to have a balanced game. I tell you that much.
We've been like, despite what I said before, we've been responsible for balancing everything forever. We are the testers.
Yeah.
So in not a good way. That is not a
yeah. You don't agree with that?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I like to have options, but I don't know if the rails are not too wide for that case, because I'm not a PvP player, but let's say I have a scenario with like I'm PvPing or one-on-one with another player, and he has maybe the equal ship, the same ship as I have. So what you said before, that you might not need the information on the components and what they're optimized for, I was like, I think you need that, because if you go to a fight and I have the assumption I have a shot, I could win it, and then I lose miserably, I just want to know how and why I did it, because otherwise I cannot learn for the future.
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily have to be on the scan, though. It could be It could be communicated to you in other ways. Yeah.
So like that, it could come through that way.
Yeah,
but also
like your kill thing that it says you did this much damage, but they absorbed this much or something like that. Yeah.
But also that concern you have, Space Monkey, is also going to be more related to like how much better is a tier 5 ship than a tier 1? Because like if it's 50% better, it's not going to be like they might have 50% better shields than you have. You'll feel that when you engage in that fight, and then you get out of there, right? Or maybe not get out of there. You change your strategy or whatever. And I think it is worth noting, because while NPCs won't be crafting higher tier vehicles and whatnot,
they might have them.
I imagine they might have them. So it still could be relevant in a PvE situation.
They better have them, because like killing an NPC and
looting
their components.
Stuff.
Exactly. Again, the whole idea of like killing an NPC and looting their stuff or another player, that's peak for me. So that needs to be there.
But here's a very interesting thought. How many dimensions do I have for like optimizing or changing my, let's say, an engine? So you can work on, I don't know, the maneuverability in general, It's like
Mhm.
how turn rates are, how the max speed is, how the acceleration is, and I have to figure that out in the fight or before the fight to adapt to the fight style. Because if I don't, I lose, and that's getting pretty difficult, isn't it?
Maybe you like
I could.
this is very heavily speculation, right?
Yeah.
But
And
that's what they gave us,
pretty difficult.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
you are right. It could be a problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let them cook, but I'm pretty skeptical. I'm pretty concerned, and it leads for me like to the assumption they need more people to work on the gameplay stuff, because after 4.0 they have how do you say that in English? They cannot talk themselves out of the stuff this needs to be done before the content gate or before the gameplay
Yeah.
gate is
Yeah.
open. It's like now it's the time to do it, because otherwise it will be really dry till 1.0 comes, and
Yeah.
the game won't have enough gameplay to I don't know, be interesting for the broad community.
Yeah. And
Yep.
just to quickly before we let you go touch on, because I think it's
Yep.
about time, right? Is
Yep.
to touch on the let them cook thing. It's
Mhm.
really easy to let them cook when you know what you're ordering. So you know how you go to like a restaurant and you read the menu and you see all the ingredients.
Sorry, what a great line.
Yeah. If you read like you read the all the ingredients and you know like, oh man, I really don't like peas, well then I'm not going to
Yep.
order that, right? But the thing is that it's like it just says vegetables. But you don't know what vegetables. And you know you like some vegetables but you don't like
Okay.
others.
Okay, Mike, this metaphor is breaking my mind. What are you actually trying to say?
They can't go on stage and say we're going to do
Yep.
this and that without telling you all the components of how it's going to work. So them doing this like high level shit doesn't work. It just confuses everybody, and it's just dumb at this point, because now we're all talking about things that none of us know what we're talking about. Everyone that's coming on the show, including us, has no idea what we're talking about because they didn't give us they didn't tell us what the components of the recipe are.
Yeah, we got sold a vague direction, but how to get there and
you know you're getting
what
pasta.
is waiting on the path.
You know you're getting pasta, but you have no idea. Is it tomato sauce? Is it a white
Back
sauce?
in the metaphor, guys.
Yeah.
Mike's hungry.
I'm
are the noodles
starving.
long and short? What kind of
what
noodles
kind of
are
pasta?
in there?
You don't know anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
all right.
it's
Well,
a weird one.
we've got to let you go, Space Monkey.
Yeah,
but thanks
no
again for
worries.
calling in. As always, you're a great guest, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
At least I'm happy that Atishis took my place as the caller with, I don't know, more
He's the
elaborate.
He's literally the worst. All right, we'll catch you later.
Bye.
Cheers, mate.
All right, and then we're bringing on Hellhawk next. Hellhawk, can you hear us?
Hellhawk, how you doing?
Yeah, what's going on?
Hello.
Hey, let me mute the stream real quick. All right. Yeah, so many comments, so little time.
Bring it. Go quick.
Real quick, Paladin was definitely, like, they definitely nerfed for the Redeemer to sell the Paladin. Please do not buy the Paladin if you like size 5 guns, because you never know if they're going to change that next time they need to sell a ship. Either way, don't really care how you spend your money. Moving on to the next thing. So the crafting tier thing, I know we don't have a lot of time to go super in depth. That's not really what this was for. But my confusion on crafting is, when we say tier 5 ship, are we saying that it has really nice components in it, or is the base ship itself upgraded?
Base ship upgraded. So ships, their description from CitizenCon was that modules as well as weapons and possibly like any other kind of item can go to tier 3.
In reality, we
and then
mean
ships
both,
go to tier 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
in reality,
ships
we
can
mean
go
both.
up to tier 5. They also meant that like you can craft tier 5s, and they mentioned that you can upgrade hulls like tiers. Yeah.
I think that's kind of dumb, because they will not be able to balance it, and we should not be in charge of balance. I think a lot of the, like, for example, saying that master modes relies on crafting for the master modes to feel better is kind of stupid to me.
Yeah, it should feel better as a base. It should feel good, and it is argued, very heavily argued by nearly everyone in the community, that the current base that we have does not.
Right. And on top of that, like, what did they even say the other thing to upgrade master modes was? Because I can't even remember. I just started crafting.
Quantum boost. So the idea of going the idea of master modes, the 2 modes that you switch for, we're not doing the 2 modes anymore. You're just gonna boost somewhere, or you're gonna be in your flight mode.
So I like the sound of that. I remember that now, because there's just a lot of switching. That's great. But the fact that they say that your weapons are going to be active and your shields are not is a huge miss again, because now industrial players have even less of an, like, they were screwed before. Now, not only if they try to run do they not have shields, but now the guy behind them has their weapons. And the majority of industrial ships can't really defend themselves because their turrets don't have the range or the turrets don't have the firepower. So why in the entire video they kept saying we want to give choices to the players. So why in the hell are we not balancing that around the power system? If I want to run faster, I put more power to my engines. If I want to be able to defend myself a little bit while my quantum drive spools up, I can put some power in shields, but my quantum drive spools up slower. Oh, I want to defend myself with my turrets. Okay, well now I can put some power into weapons. That's how they should be balancing it. And
I'm just gonna stop really quickly. Industry ships, the vast majority of them are going to have like with the exception of maybe things like the Prospect, like any single-seater industry ships, are going to become much more survivable with engineering in that exact instance.
Okay, but what about multi-crew ships?
Don't speak in absolutes if we don't know the answers.
So, like, my example would be like a Hull C. You've got 2 useless turrets on it. They have almost no visibility. The Hull C, the whole point of it is it's got a huge shield and it's got a ton of cargo. Like, why are we not playing on the fact that it's got a huge, like, it loses its advantage, period.
Can I play devil's advocate? And I'm not playing devil's advocate. I actually believe in this because this is, again, another EVE example that I think is what makes EVE really good, is industry ships in EVE, specifically haulers, they do have a lot of health.
Yeah.
But if they get caught, if you want to kill them, they die, and if you get caught, you die. So they have a lot of health, but they don't have a lot of ability to run away. We have seen industry ships gain health over the last little bit. What we haven't seen is really that balance with the components just yet. They aren't the most health of any ship, but the balance between industry ships and the ships that fight them are that industry ships make, and it goes back to that conversation we had a little bit earlier about solo PvP. Industry ships make a lot of money.
Yep.
Sometimes they need to lose it.
And that's fine. They should lose it.
They need to be they need to be killed more easily than other ships. Now, the point that you're making about the being able to run and not having weapons, but the other people do, is such a valid point. But industry ships are meant to be loot pinatas. Right.
They absolutely should die. Yeah. It's just a matter of why put something on there if there's no use to it. And that's kind of, because if you're in an industry ship and you see something that you don't recognize, your first thought should be, I'm getting the hell out. You're not using your weapons. And they don't have...
Is the advantage still not there, though? If they've got that, extra shield, they're going to survive there longer. That's going to increase their chances.
No, because they should be jumping
use the
out.
Turrets to fight back.
They should be jumping out, and the turrets right now...
Yeah, but in your example, they got caught, right? In your literal example, they got caught. And so if they're trying to run, then yeah, they're just going to die. The extra shield is there. So if they get caught, they can stay there for longer.
But the turrets are useless. They have no overlapping fire. You have no hope. Like, what I'm saying is they just...
I don't agree that they're useless. I think that is
if you're in a caterpillar, you have turrets that have good fire arcs, you have turrets with good fire power, you're okay.
Yeah,
the whole
Caterpillar's good.
Is the entire bottom side is open. There's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do.
Corsair has shitty turrets as well in the back.
The pilot can once again, I don't see why this is a problem, because that's the exact situation these ships should be getting themselves into. You're
the turrets that are put on PDC's call today.
Every ship should just have 20 PDCs. That's only a little joke. I'll concede your point just because we're running out of time, and I really wanted to bring up something that you mentioned earlier. you said the the tier 5 system is dumb because they won't be able to balance it. Why will they not be able to balance it? I think that is a I think that is
let's look at
a assumption that is not great because
they haven't been able to balance what we have in the
I'm going to
game.
continue. Multiple other games have like way more variables than Star Citizen does in terms of stats, and they balance those fine.
Yeah, and then when they turned off our weapons, it took them 3 years to come out with a balance.
Yeah, because
I'm sorry.
100% because they're changing the systems all the time. The future we're living in that we're talking about tier 5s, the systems are not changing every patch.
I think the argument being made here is that CIG hasn't proven that they are as competent as these other studios that have done the jobs well. We don't know if we have a studio that can balance because they've never been able to up to this point.
Exactly. And part of the problem is it's not just the crafting, it's all the other variables that are pumping into this, and I don't trust that they can pivot quick enough in a way that won't destroy the gameplay. And it's the other reason why I think the tier... So think about how EVE does it. When you research a blueprint up to a certain point, the tier 2 ship is just a different ship, and you have a different entity. Maybe that's an easier way to do it.
The tier system in EVE and the way they've been describing a Star Citizen are probably not good examples.
They sound different.
Right.
Yeah.
They are different, and we don't have enough information.
Yeah.
Right, and we don't have enough information to fill in the gaps, so we're all guessing. But one of the other thing I wanted to say about crafting, I know that's a little bit off topic, but if you build a tier 5 ship and you lose it, ensure it should only replace the tier 1 ship. You should have to go and rebuild the tier 5 ship. You either take the effort to physically salvage the ship and get your ship back and repair it.
I hope that's
or you have to redo it, because if they make it so insurance covers a tier 5 ship, crafting is kind of screwed.
Yeah, crafting's dead. 100%.
I encourage you watch our podcast with Space Cutlet, which you guys can find over on our channel if you've subscribed. Where exactly what you're talking about, Hellhawk, that was like the conversation for like almost the entire.
Yeah, and Hellhawk will let you go
and all of our concerns. Yeah, but we have to let you go. I'm sorry. Thank you for the good call, though. It was awesome. Cheers for coming on. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, wish there was more time today because that was fun.
Yep.
All right. Then we got Tucker O. Tucker O. Can you hear us?
Tucker.
Damn, I did jinx us in my mind that we haven't had any issues with people hearing us.
Tucker, you are muted if you are there.
Sorry, I muted myself earlier.
You're good.
I also had to mute you guys on YouTube. So,
what do you want to talk about?
I had several in my head at once. I'm brain farting. Save Stanton.
All right.
Yep. Phase three, completely agree. That was fucking overkill. Just to sell the Polaris. That's my opinion on that.
It came out before the Polaris happened, though.
True.
I don't know if it was to sell the Polaris. I think that gameplay was going to happen regardless, you know?
We've been shooting Idrises for 12 years, it feels like.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. How just with the way I had to play it 3 times in a row, always in a Polaris, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Phase 4, that could have been 2 missions in $150.
Yeah.
Finally, the Paladin.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of don't see it on par with the Redeemer. Yeah.
Sure.
I see it more on par with. Yeah, it's a ship with guns.
It looks cool, though.
A gunship, if you will.
Yeah.
A gunship, a gunboat, if you're feeling fruity. No. Yeah.
I think it's once again, it's not in game yet. Who knows what the hell this thing does? But
yeah, no, I
certainly
expect to be 75 in a nursing home when that thing comes out.
Yeah.
It's certainly laid out as a Redeemer competitor. It's like roughly the same size. It's wider, I think, but other than that, it's roughly the same size. Similar weapon loadouts, similar but not the same crew requirements and so on.
Yeah. The only real use I could see for that thing is guarding a cargo hauler, maybe a Hull-E. I don't know. It is. Gunships need to find their place. Yep. So far, it's mainly OVO stuff, which is Jump Town or
I mean we've been through this a billion times. We need to define the gameplay before making the ships. They define the ships
Yeah.
before making the gameplay, and it
Yeah.
just screws everything up every time. But they're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah.
So
I was originally kind of hoping that it would be a Hammerhead competitor, because the Hammerhead does feel like it has a bit more of a place, because in all of these kinds of events, the Hammerhead is usually like a fun and like useful ship to bring to fight other capital ships. Or
I've
at the very
never
Yeah.
least,
enjoyed the
Yeah.
Hammerhead, but I've just had bad experiences.
yeah, fair.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that is more defined than something like the Redeemer. The Redeemer is like that, like it's less firepower than the Hammerhead. It's obviously more maneuverable and stuff, but like what right now in the game, what does that mean you're taking that out for? Right? Is like
So far, as far as I can tell, the only thing you're using that for is for apparently according to CIG's art team, attacking ironclads.
Yeah.
So,
sweet, let's go.
yeah, let's go. Yeah, no, gunships are gunships.
Mhm.
The only real thing I could really think of to exfoliate on. What is this, makeup?
Extrapolate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Extrapolate on is Phase 3 being probably the start of capital ship gameplay, and CIG I don't want to bring this point up because I talk to my friends about this all the time, and it's getting annoying to me too. They need to start fixing some of the nerfs they've made to say the Ares and others anti-capital ships.
Yeah, Ares now needs a big proper role.
Especially
people
the
definitely
Ion.
still bring them out. I will say
Yeah,
the amount of
no. During Phase 3, we brought out 2 Polaris and 2 Inferno.
Yeah, I was gonna
The
say
Infernos the
Inferno people
Infernos
still
are
bring
doing
out.
great. The Infernos are doing great.
Yeah,
The Ion needs help.
yeah.
It is
Okay.
it is that image of the mother is holding the Inferno. And
And the Ion is drowning in the
Ion is
the
drowning,
pool,
going,
the pool.
Father,
the-
please.
Yeah.
And the Eclipse is the skeleton at the bottom of the lake.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, you're 100% right on that. So
Yeah.
please, CIG, do that.
Yeah, that's really all I had to think about. Who's
Perfect.
after me?
Because we have
Give him
8
time.
Yeah, we got 8 minutes and 3 people to go. So
Sick.
Awesome.
See you guys.
bye, Tucker.
Cheers, Tucker. Thanks very much for calling in. Hopefully, we'll see you again.
GG, Tucker. All right. Oh, I almost just went into waiting room 1. Trecent.
All right,
Welcome.
Trecent. How we doing? You are muted, FYI. You there?
Sorry, I just had to make sure
All
I
good.
muted you guys, otherwise it'd be echoing.
All
Yeah, all
good.
Uh,
Welcome.
Sorry. So pretty much just been kind of absorbing everything everyone else is saying, and then I had to change what I was actually going to bring up because everyone else had way better points. But on the like crafting thing though, I wanted to talk about that because I felt like watching that they were literally just making crafting the next server meshing. Like it's like their next
Yeah.
Jesus patch.
It is, but at least it's like an actual feature. You know what I mean? Like rather than a background tech thing.
I suppose so, but like it just felt like, oh yeah, this is gonna fix everything. Like just sort of put it away in a cupboard for now, and we'll worry about it later. But yeah,
Have we gotten a Sorry, just quickly. Did we get an SCL on crafting yet since CitizenCon?
No.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a
That's
big
gonna
one
be
that they need to do
awesome
ASAP.
when we do. Yeah, that's gonna be sick when they do. I'm
Then
gonna
I had,
have 37 questions in that question thread.
I was also when you guys were talking about this being able to scan someone and then see like what their gear was. I reckon like you just do it like a standard MMO kind of thing, like have like a gear score, like a sort of like power level, like for how upgraded they are, but you don't know exactly how they've done it.
Okay.
So you get an idea of like,
yeah.
hey, this guy's got like a power score of like this.
Yeah.
So
Like
yeah,
I
like
want
this
to.
ship has like an average tier of 3 or something like that.
yeah, like something like that.
Easy way to do it.
Like,
and then you could break it down with like advanced scans later or something like that. But that's a great way to
That'd be
like
cool.
put that in to start with.
I just wanted the game to. I don't know if I want to, but I think it'll just make sense if the game gets to the point where like you scan them from a little bit of a distance before the fight starts. The first time they
Mhm.
shoot, you see the type of weapon they use, and you're like, oh, that's the build they're using, right? Like in
Yeah.
Magic, I imagine like you see a card drop, and you're like, I know what I'm up
Yeah,
against.
they're playing this deck.
Yeah, exactly, right? I think that's where we're going to get at some point, but that's going to be after the game settles in quite a bit and
Yeah.
the metas have been created and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like a broad level overview though, like something like they've got a tier 5 or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know if I like the idea of gear score, but I like the idea of a quick look, and I have an idea of like, can I take this fight or can I not?
Yeah. Yeah. And like they could do that through other ways. You could do it through like you would probably know like the base EM level of a ship or something. And then like through modifications, I imagine that stuff will change. That may be a way to do it. That's probably a more complex, as in like a player complex way to do it. But
yeah, but like if you have like some kind of an indicator of like what level their equipment is, you can know, okay, so like say Mike's idea of having like, I don't know, like a cargo sling or like some way to like attach something to your ship, right? Like you could be like, well, that guy's got advanced components, he's worth fighting. Whereas like a new guy, you're not just gonna like go after a new guy who's like wasting money and ammo.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not worth your time.
Yeah. But then with the master mode stuff, I was just like that. Basically, since master modes, I've not done any combat stuff because it's just like
I started out doing a ton, and then when the Hornet came out, I stopped. That's what made me quit. Was the overpowered Hornets.
It's just I just didn't like the vibe anymore. Like I liked being able to like hit K and like fly around in like a canyon and then kind of like switch again and like boost out and stuff. It felt better, and like now I kind of feel like I don't know. It's like you're vulnerable if you like want to sneak up on people and stuff. But I don't know. But I just think that they got to put like PDCs on all of the industrial ships, like just because like to protect them from like missile strikes out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
I'm really like
surprise attack.
Yeah, but I don't know where I sit on that because like if you get surprise attack, you should be punished. You know what I mean? I don't think you should just have like an automatic defense to stop that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but like you're talking like a combat ship that also has PDCs. So not only are they better
I mean, if you are getting a Polaris against the Hull C, you better lose. Like
no, but like I'm saying, like if you're a multi-crew industrial ship, you should probably have PDCs because like you're a bigger target. You know what I mean?
Some of the bigger ones, yeah. I would argue like the Hull C example earlier was probably a good point to sit it. Like Hull C and bigger, I can see them having PDCs and it being reasonable.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
it's just it seems like it's just something that would help, but that could be crazy.
Yeah, but all right, let's get to the other callers though. Treason, I'm sorry that once we get to the end, it's like
easy.
Like gotta go. Anyway. All right, perfect.
Yeah, no, love the call there. We'll catch you around soon.
Catch you soon, dude. All right, he left. Lightsmith is in. Lightsmith, can you hear us?
Yo.
Hello.
How are we doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I can go pretty quick. There is one thing I want to cover because I was having a conversation yesterday with a bunch of friends of mine. The whole Redeemer Corsair thing or whatever that's constantly coming up.
The nerfs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the nerfs. Yes. Same patch. I have yet to see a single forum or a thread about people upset that the greatest ship in the game, the Origin 85X Limited, got upgunned. It went from having 4 size 1s to having 2 size 2s and 2 size 1s. Let's go! The greatest ship in the game is a beast now. And not a single forum. Yeah, right. The guns on the turrets of the Connies went from 2s to 3s. Not a single complaint. The guns on the little wings of the Valk went from 3s to 4s, and I really wanted that one. It looked like
that was a big one. I have heard people talk about that. Once again, obviously no complaints about it.
Looked like
that's one that people are like, oh yeah, hell yeah, let's go. Right. But I would like to introduce you to this thing called people don't like talking about positive things.
Exactly. Right. And
Well,
so
they
when
don't.
you take
There's
your
nothing to say
three-person ship,
when it's like, ooh, that, because you would just go, ooh, that's good. I like that, and that's
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
And then it's
Yeah.
like, well, that's
Yeah.
bad. And then when something's bad, there's about 13
Right.
different things that
Right.
somebody would say that would make it better.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, your 3-person, ship. I'm sorry, it can't take on a hammerhead anymore, and we have to take the good with the bad. And are you really mad at the balance, or are you mad that someone took your big old pew pew guns away?
That's what
I
it
feel
is.
like this is like a psychologist's 5 seconds. They're gonna be like, yeah, I know what you're mad at. You're mad they took your stuff away. Like,
For me, I had
so,
none of the ships. I had no horse in any of these races. For me, it's you took them away to sell another ship for more money sometimes, and it's just like, please stop. It's so
that can
embarrassing.
definitely be.
Meanwhile, the Intrepid, they're buffing it as much as they can. They're giving it free skins. They still can't sell it,
and nobody wants it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, and on that note, though, going forward, it's best to just keep that one line in the back of our heads. Everything is subject to change. When control surfaces come into the gameplay, some of your ships are going to fly like kites, others are going to fall from the sky. When Maelstrom and armor comes in, some ships are going to get paper thin, others are going to get thick skin like a coconut. We're going to have these same conversations over and over, but it's best, I think, if we'll just pre-prepare ourselves. Everything's subject to change. Kind of just have to deal with it.
Okay, and then prepare I'll tell you, prepare yourself when things are changed that people are going to get mad.
Yeah. It'll still happen.
The
I will
constant
say,
telling people how they're supposed to feel is never going to work, especially not on the
No,
internet.
I'm not saying feel a specific way, be happy or be upset. If anything, I'm saying don't feel anything until it's all said and done. It's not worth any of our time. It's not even getting excited over the Valk getting the size 4 guns. If one day they want to bring those back down to size 3, go ahead.
They'll do it.
Whatever.
They'll do whatever they think is best for the game. I just wish that they were doing whatever they thought was best for the game and not whatever they thought was the best for the funding chart.
I will also just mention one thing on the Redeemer. If it needed a nerf, I'm okay with it having a nerf. The size 5s are just a cool thing about the Redeemer, honestly. So it's like you've taken away one of the coolest things about the ship. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I would have rather
that's fair.
have nerfs in other ways. Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to cover that one topic, and the last thing I'll end on is Phase 4 was kind of weak, kind of just like a delivery mission. Do 6 of them.
It's a test for a new mission type. I don't think it's really anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely was a test for a new mission type, and I think it had good potential. We'll see what happens though. But Light IA shows out, so we'll let you go. We'll get to Artesius, and then we'll head off.
Cool. Thanks for having me on.
All right, man.
Cheers, Smith. Catch you around.
Bye-bye. All right. Our last caller, Artesius.
No spoilers about the IE show. I know you're watching it right now.
Yeah.
Just giving you guys the links. So quickly, as far as PvP stuff and how PvPs make money, Mark?
I gotta pee real quick. I will hear everything you're saying though, but I am dying. I was like, my feet have been
have fun. Turn off your mic, please. We don't need to hear that. Okay, so PvPers need to make money. Effectively, you want to be a murder hobo. That's effectively what you want to do when you're PvPing. There is a faction in the game called Xenothreat who love anarchy and murder hoboing. They will effectively give you missions to go kill people, create anarchy, which will then cause bounties to go against you, which then Xenothreat will reward you for killing bounty hunters and creating more anarchy and creating more contracts against you, which they will, if you do kill people, you can send a ping to the Xenothreat team to come pick up your items and pick up the wrecks of the ships and of looted bodies of people you've killed. And you're based on your rep, you can pick an item from that ship to then take for yourself to keep. And then it could be multiple versions of these factions that can do this, that'll fight against each other as well to keep content for PvPs.
So I mentioned that, like, reputation being a part of it will likely be one of the things that CRG actually do to remedy the situation. I was going to suggest there could be something interesting they do with like calling the faction to come pick up the items, right? Or something like that. I think that's far too down the line. Like that is post 1.0. And And so once again, the issue right now is it has to be rewards that aren't just money, because they can very easily do rewards that are just money. It's not as interesting.
Yeah, but this is just based on like rich
Guys,
pirates.
this is-
The PvP is buy stuff off the crafters. So
This
this
is
is
so
based on
simple, though, guys. Like, we're going through this elaborate. Oh, this people are gonna give me these missions, and then I'll do these things. When I kill somebody, I just want to open their loot, look at it, get excited, and take it. Like, this is not complicated.
Yeah,
not
of course.
complicated stuff. Like, we
And
do
then-
not need to do the Star Citizen thing and say that 15 different things need to happen in order for the simplest thing to happen, which is I am rewarded by killing another person. Like, I go to a contested zone right now, I kill them, I kill a player, and I cannot loot their body because when they backspace, they just disappear. Like, that is stupid.
Yeah. And then as far as Steve Stanton, please, CRG, I'm tired of fighting Idrises. Do something different. Waves of fighters, just do something different. I'm tired of fighting Idrises. If the slice is getting an
immediately
Idris,
fight you. I'm not,
No, shut
because
up.
we have barely been able to board Idrises, and this is still super new.
Okay, so
you might
on
be
that
sick
point-
of it, but it is still dope as hell. Shut
on
up.
that point, Croncy,
I disagree with it. We've been fighting Idrises forever. It's like
Yep.
something
So-
different to be the finale would be nice. That's all.
Sure.
on the point of both of you, instead of the slices somehow getting an Idris, the slices have disabled an Idris and are trying to take over it. So your job is to go to where the Idris has been taken out, board it, delete the slices off it while defending waves of slicer fighters coming towards you. So you have people boarding an Idris to secure it for the UEE again, and then there's waves of fighters coming in that you have to defend your boarding crew against, and then get
You want
medics and
the
stuff on.
890 mission, basically.
Oh, effectively, yeah. But
Yeah.
on an Idris with hundreds
Yeah.
of AI.
Like, I think that'd be sick. Yeah.
Siege of Orison on a Idris. Just do it, Elliot. Hurry up.
True.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay. See ya.
He literally just
That was
said
very
bye
abrupt.
and then left. But yeah, that's where it leaves us today, I think.
Mhm.
We got through every caller. Every call was smooth. Outside of like a few coming in, and every call was good this week. I didn't have anyone
Yeah, everyone
where
had
I
some
was
good
like,
topics of conversation.
except for Artesius at the end, I didn't have anyone that I was like, I can't deal with what this guy's saying because I'm just getting bored. But
Yep.
because we kept them short and we kept going to different stuff, it was really good. So we'll try to keep doing that. I think. But let us know in the comments if
We
you
just
liked
talked
what we
about
did
a
today.
lot of stuff today before the call.
Exactly.
We really got into the brass tacks of some of these
Yeah.
things they talked about this week.
But yeah, dude, my theme is if I PvP somebody, I should be able to just open their container and get something. Maybe not everything, because the best part about having inventory is like having to make a choice of what you can take and what you can't. But I gotta be able to take something.
Yeah.
Gotta be able to take something. So like,
I am all for that.
so to go back to what you said early, is some of the stuff that's on ships should be really small. I could probably put them in my backpack, or I could store them in what little inventory I have. And some of the stuff's pretty big. And then, yeah, maybe I have to come back, or other people grab that if they have bigger ships. Done.
Yep.
But give me something. And yeah, that's all we got. So that's where we'll be today. Thank you for watching. If you guys are watching on Twitch and you guys haven't hit the follow button for any of us yet, I'm going to go ahead and shout out Croncy. It's a little bit harder on YouTube, but you do have us in the description. Yeah, check us out. We stream Star Citizen and stuff like a lot. And then if you guys are watching on Twitch but haven't caught the whole episode, it will be up on YouTube soon. So exclamation point YouTube here. Obviously, if you're on YouTube, you know where to go. And yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment on anything that we discuss. And yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one. And as always, don't forget, I got a new phone to answer.
Oh, yo, answer the
the
call.
call. Yeah. And it was cheaper than my last